Now, that's the New York Jets and them making the move to improve their team. And before I get into what I'm about to talk about, you all know some of the teams who were kind of in the sweepstakes for Devante Adams. Those teams included the New York Jets, obviously, the Buffalo Bills. You could throw the Pittsburgh Steelers in there as well, the Washington Commanders, and then the New Orleans Saints. Now, I'm going to let y'all know, be prepared for me to rant about this football team. What's up, YouTube? It's your boy IJ here, back at it with another episode of the I'm Just Talking podcast. I know I've been gone for a minute. I've been gone for the last 2 weeks. Reason why I wasn't on 2 weeks ago was because we had midterms, and I just had to lock in for that. And then last week, I just decided to take like a mental health kind of week just to, get my mind back right and to just, make sure I'm still getting my work done and just to, take time to myself. But I'm back at it, and I got a lot to get out of my chest in this episode. I got a lot to talk about, and we're not going to waste any time now. Before we get started, as always, gotta give honor to God, because without him, I wouldn't be able to do this. And real quick, just make sure y'all taking care of y'all mental health. If anything you're going through, if it's, weighing down you, first off, pray and talk to God about it. And then second of all, just take some time out to yourself. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. There's nothing wrong with, enjoying yourself and giving you some me time, as they say. So just take care of your mental health. And that's basically what I did last week. Midterms can be kind of stressful. And I just decided to take last week to just, like I said, clear my mind and to just get myself right while also being able to get my work done as well. And now I was in a good mental state, but I'm in an even better mental state now, and I'm back to doing what I love to do, and that's talking sports. And like I said, we're not going to waste any time. Let's get right into it. So to kick things off, we're going to start with the leading headline today, and that's the breaking news of wide receiver Devante Adams being traded from the Las Vegas Raiders to the New York Jets. Now, reading this from NFL.com, it says, 7 days after the Jets fired their head coach and less than 24 hours after a primetime loss to the Bills, they have agreed to a trade for Adams from the Raiders. NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reported on Tuesday per sources. Las Vegas will receive a conditional 2025 third-round pick in exchange for Adams, and that third-round pick can become a second-round pick if Adams becomes a first or second-team All-Pro this season, or if he's on the active roster should the Jets make the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl this year, coming from Tom Pelissero of NFL.com. So, my reaction to this is, let's see how this plays out, really. Let's just see how this plays out, because if we're being honest, this man's going from one dysfunctional franchise to another dysfunctional franchise. So, the Jets, obviously, they've been in the dumps for the last, 10, 15 years. The last time they won Super Bowls, I believe, in 1970. So it's been a minute, and he's going from one dysfunctional organization from I was going to say LA Raiders, but the Las Vegas Raiders, and that, that whole environment of them not really having a winning culture, to another team that's trying to get into a winning culture. Now, they did fire Robert Saleh. That was one of the leading headlines last week. And last night, they played against the Buffalo Bills. They played a pretty competitive game. They played a really good game. Obviously, they came out with an L, but I like what I saw from the Jets. I felt that they were able to get more into a rhythm offensively. And defensively, they had some bright spots, but I just feel ultimately it came down to them not being able to score in the red zone, and then obviously those two missed field goals by Greg Zuerlein last night ultimately cost them. Now, granted, it was kind of windy last night in New York, but at the end of the day, you got to make those kicks. So, again, this is one of those moves where you have to wait and see. Now, this is obviously great for, Devante Adams getting back with one of his former quarterbacks and Aaron Rodgers. Reading from NFL.com says the pair started its partnership in 2014 and produced 7,517 receiving yards and 68 touchdowns on 615 completions. But Adams and Rodgers elevated the game to another level during their final 4 seasons in Green Bay. From 2018 to 2021, Rodgers and Adams ranked first in the NFL in receptions with 425 receptions, first in receiving yards with 5,257 receiving yards, and first in receiving touchdowns with 47 as a duo. So, obviously, the chemistry there, the connection is there between A-Rod and Devante Adams. Now it's just going to be able to see how he's able to, get himself into this Jets offense while also being able to make an impact for them, because now this makes the Jets an even better team offensively, from having Devante Adams and Garrett Wilson along with Alan Lazard and Mike Williams. That's a pretty nice team to have at the receiving core. Now, offensively, there's still some question marks about their O-line. Aaron Rodgers got sacked a couple times last night. I believe he got sacked either 3 or 4 times, and he was pressured throughout that game last night against the Buffalo Bills. So, O-line is still kind of a concern for the New York Jets, but like I said, if they're able to give Aaron Rodgers some time, he can be able to make stuff happen, because even though he's getting older, he's still Aaron Rodgers. Last night kind of proved that when he hit another Hail Mary pass, and even though, like I said, he's getting older, he's still one of the best quarterbacks to do it. So, like I said, this is one of those moves where you have to wait and see how things play out throughout the whole season. Obviously, like I said, Aaron Rodgers and Devante Adams, they're going to have that connection, but it's going to be a testament to see how the rest of the team responds to that move, and see if it can provide a spark for the New York Jets in their offense. Now, that's the New York Jets and them making the move to improve their team. And before I get into what I'm about to talk about, you want to know some of the teams who were kind of in the sweepstakes for Devante Adams? Those teams included the New York Jets, obviously, the Buffalo Bills, you could throw the Pittsburgh Steelers in there as well, the Washington Commanders, and then the New Orleans Saints. Now, I'm going to let y'all know, be prepared for me to rant about this football team, because there's been a lot of things going on ever since the last episode that I produced on this channel. So let's rewind. Let's rewind a little bit when it comes to this football team, right? Let's start at the beginning of the season. We start out 2-0, right? 2-0. We stomp out the Carolina Panthers. We go to Dallas and took care of business against them. We're like, okay, maybe this team about to, make something happen, make something shake, right? Then we lose 2 heartbreakers against the Eagles and the Falcons. The Eagles game we could have won, but we beat ourselves. The defense gave up a big play that ultimately led to the Philadelphia Eagles winning that game. Then Derek Carr's interception basically sealed the game. Then against the Falcons, it was a game where we drove down the field, but then Paulson Adebo on the next drive gave up a crucial pass interference call, and then the Falcons ultimately won the game, right? So we're 2-2 at that point. Then the Kansas City game, I had a feeling we were going to lose that regardless. So we're 2-3 at that point, right? And then we play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a game that at first I was really excited about, right? I was really excited about this game. Spencer Rattler, our 5th-round draft pick from this year's draft, he was getting his first opportunity to show what he can do. I was excited about this game. Then I go over to my grandparents' house, right? Just come to their house after church, right? I see we're down 14-0 already. And I'm like, what's going on here? Then we ended up down by 17-0, right? Then this team winds up coming back from a 17-0 deficit in the second quarter, scoring, I believe it was 24 points, right? No, it was 27. It was 27 points. And now at that point, going to halftime, we're up 27-24. We didn't score the rest of the game. We did not score the rest of the game. No fault to the offense, all right? Let's go ahead and get that out the way. Spencer Rattler, he did his thing, all right? Yes, he threw 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions proved to be costly. But he did pretty well for a rookie that was in the circumstances that he was in, with a, banged up offensive line, with basically his number 1 receiver being out the game because that fumble recovery that ultimately led to the Bucs going up 14-0 on us ended up leading to Chris Olave getting a concussion, right? So Spencer Rattler did pretty well for his debut. That's a pretty good game from a rookie in his debut against a pretty respectable Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, right? But let me tell you, this team is moving backwards. Okay, the feeling that we were feeling those first 2 weeks, it feels like a lifetime ago. It really does, because now this team is 2-4, and it's like I don't know what to say about this team except to just rant about them in a negative way. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna list the 3 reasons why this team is in the state they're in right now. All right, let's start with number 3, Dennis Allen. Now he should be number 1, but I'm gonna say number 1 for later. Dennis Allen. I question why this man is still the Saints head coach. I really do. Now, I'll give it to him. The first 2 weeks, he was showing that maybe he can, be a head coach in this league, right? But no. This man does not need to be a head coach. At this point, he doesn't even need to be a defensive coordinator anymore. He doesn't need to be anywhere near the New Orleans Saints headquarters, the New Orleans Saints facilities, because this is what bothers me about Dennis Allen. He says the same thing over and over again, but there's no changes. There's literally no changes. So let me just read off some stats, just real quick. Just some stats about Dennis Allen, right? Reading this from Sports Illustrated, it reads, and I quote, "Once one of the league's most formidable places for an opponent, New Orleans is only 10-9 at the Superdome over Allen's tenure. Allen's Saints are in the abysmal 4-16 when playing an opponent with a 500 or better record." That's pretty bad, right? But hold on, it gets better. It gets better, all right? Including his 2+ years with a dysfunctional Raiders organization, Allen has a 26-50 all-time record as a head coach. Now, I'm going to cut him some slack, like it stated, end quote. Like it stated, the Raiders at that time, completely dysfunctional. A dysfunctional organization, so I'm not going to, be too hard on him about what was going on with the Raiders at that time, right? But at some point, the excuses have to stop. The excuses for this man have to stop. Because ever since he got to New Orleans, he's had a record of 18-22 with a win percentage of .450. That's not good, especially when you had the talent that you had on this roster for the last 2 years. Granted, injuries have played a factor. I understand that. But every team in the NFL goes through these things. Every NFL team goes through injuries. At some point, you have to be like, maybe we need to switch things up. Maybe we need to fix some things. And he did that too. He went out and got rid of Pete Carmichael this offseason and brought in Clint Kubiak, and the offense looked magical the first couple weeks. But then Eric McCoy gets hurt, and then you have some the O-line reshuffling a bit, and then you have injuries on the playmaker side of things on the offense. And now it's like, what are we supposed to do? Now Derek Carr's hurt, but if you ask me, I think Spencer Rattler's going to prove that he's the future quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. And I like Derek Carr, I really do. I like him as a person, but as a football player, he stresses me out. Against that Kansas City Chiefs game, he threw it into double coverage when Rashid Shaheed was covered by 2 Kansas City Chiefs defenders. I couldn't tell if he was just throwing a 50-50 ball or he was trying to throw it away. But at that point, that's when I was like, you know what? Maybe this guy shouldn't be the Saints quarterback anymore. Because I've seen a few comments on this on social media, right? It said, some people were saying, I would rather have a rookie go out there, make rookie mistakes and learn from those mistakes than to have a 10+ year veteran still making rookie mistakes. That's basically what Derek Carr has been doing in his career. And that's what he's been doing ever since he came to New Orleans last season. But we're going to lay off of Derek Carr. We're going to lay off of him. I'm hoping for a speedy recovery from his injury, right? But Dennis Allen, like I said, he needs to get out of here. He needs to, and they're not going to fire him this week because it's a short week. The Saints play Thursday night. So they're not going to do it this week, all right? But I'm saying if you lose to Denver this Thursday, the organization has to get rid of that man. And I don't know who's going to be the interim head coach, but any interim head coach would be better than him at this point. So that's number 3, Dennis Allen. That's number 3. All right. Number two, the defense. Okay, the defense for the New Orleans Saints in the last couple weeks has been completely terrible. This defense went from being a pretty top tier defense, but the last couple weeks they've been looking like one of the worst defenses in the league. All right, reading this from Sports Illustrated still. It says, and I quote, entering week 7, New Orleans ranks dead last in total defense, 29th against the pass, 20th against the run with a pathetic 5.2 yards per carry, and 23rd in points allowed, end quote. And not to mention they also out there missing a bunch of tackles. So if you ask me, this defense is starting to relapse into the defense that was, in the kind of latter years of Drew Brees, where Drew Brees was posting up career numbers, posting crazy numbers, but the defense couldn't stop a cold. That the years from 2014 to 2016 was when the defense was completely terrible. And it seems that this defense is starting to turn into that defense once again. Now, like I said, injuries have kind of played a factor into this, especially at the safety position. But besides that, you really had no injuries. Yes, Pete Warner is out. Yes, Amari Davis missed a game for the first time in his career through the injury. But besides that, you've been relatively healthy on the defensive side. It's just a matter of not being good in the crucial moments of the game. Okay, those Eagles and Falcons game were 2 winnable games, but the defense gave up 2 bad mistakes that ultimately ended up losing the game. So in hindsight, we should really be 4-2, but we're not. We're 2-4, and I was about to say something, but I'll say it later. But this defense, like I said, is starting to relapse. They're starting to become a really bad defense, but the most frustrating part about it is that there's talented players. Okay, there are talented players on the defensive side of the ball, and this is another thing with this defense. This past Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? They had 3 turnovers. Baker Mayfield threw 2 interceptions. And, 3 interceptions. My fault. He threw 3 interceptions. And yet the defense still gave up 45 points. How? But yeah, the defense, they better lock in. They better lock in Thursday night. They better tackle better too. Because there's no reason why Chris Godwin should catch a pass at, I believe it was like on his side of the 45-yard line, on Tampa Bay side of the 45-yard line, and score a touchdown. It wasn't like no big play, no deep bomb neither. It was really a check down route, and he scored all the way for a touchdown. So that's number 2. The defense got to get things together, right? Then number 1, it's the media. I'm blaming the media for this because let's remember, the first 2 weeks everybody was hyping up the Saints, including me. But I was trying to, I was trying to lower it down because I knew that it was only week 2, and the team would eventually come back down to earth. I knew that. But at the same time, I was excited. And I was glad that the team was finally getting the attention that at the time it rightfully deserved. But now, they don't deserve no attention. They don't deserve no media attention. They don't deserve none of that. But the media was all over them first 2 weeks. They were, raving about their offense and talking about how Clint Kubiak and the Saints have cracked the code. But now, there is no code. Actually, there is a code. The code screams HELP. Help. Help me. Help us Saints fans, because now this team is terrible. This team is bad. And now the media ain't talking about them. The media is not talking about the Saints. Rightfully so. But when the media was talking about them, they were, kind of hyping them up to be something that right now they're not. And right now they're a basically average football team. So those are the 3 reasons why this team, I believe, is struggling right now. Dennis Allen, defense, and then the media. What's crazy? What the crazy thing about this team is? They may still fool around and make the playoffs. They still might fool around and make the playoffs. Looking at the schedule for the next couple games, just to list off the next opponents, they have the Denver Broncos. It's Thursday night. Then they don't play again until October 27th against the Chargers in LA. Then they play against the Carolina Panthers, the lowly Carolina Panthers, in Week 9. And then they play the Falcons again in the Superdome. So, and then before their bye week, they play the Cleveland Browns. And their bye week comes Week 12. So, this team can still fool around and try to get things back in order. and I'm hoping they do. The optimistic Saints fan in me wants them to turn things around, and I believe they can. I really do. Is it delusion? Probably so, but that's just the person that I am. I continue to be optimistic no matter what's going on in life. I try to have an optimistic outlook on life, and that includes this football team. But I'm telling you right now, if things don't get better, Dennis Allen, you're out of there. You're out of there, buddy. And this team, if we lose Thursday night, I'm going to go more in depth in it. But if we lose Thursday, you might as well cancel the whole season. Throw the whole season away, and we'll look forward to next year. But like I said, this team can still fool around and do something. Because we're only 2-4. In a division that, even though Tampa Bay is looking like they're the clear favorites, they can go on the losing streak. The Falcons, they can go on the losing streak too. And we can turn things up and possibly go 6-4. But hey, maybe I'm just talking at the end of the day. But like I said, this team, they need to get their act together. They need to get their act together, and they better win Thursday. They better win. They better win. But I've said my piece on that abysmal, team as of right now. But let's switch gears now. Let's switch gears to a more wholesome subject. And that's, the Chicago Bulls. Now, before we get into that, real quick, just want to let you guys know Jackson State is playing Florida A&M. Yeah, that's how you say it. They're playing them this Saturday at the Vet in Jackson, Mississippi. So make sure you pop out for that game if you can. And, just show support for the Jackson State Tigers. They're a football team that has been winning lately, unlike one football team. Unlike one football team. And last thing before we switch to the NBA. The Dallas Cowboys they got blew out against the Detroit Lions. I can't even celebrate that because my team is trash themselves. I can't even gloat. I can't even talk about the Cowboys at this point. Because the one thing that the Saints and the Cowboys have in common is that they're both terrible football teams right now. So me clowning the Cowboys would basically be for nothing because my team is trash themselves. But hey, I've said my piece on that. I've said my, I've laid out my emotions that I've kept in check for the last couple weeks about this football team. And now, let's switch gears to the Chicago Bulls. Now, switching gears to the Chicago Bulls, just want to give them some love real quick because I've been like what I've been seeing from them in the preseason so far. And there's a few key players that I want to, give some love to. Number one, Zach LaVine. Now, he's been in the news for the whole summer, with the trade rumors. Will he be dealt? Will he not be dealt? But he's proven that he's bought into the team and he's going to do to help the team win and to help his teammates, progress as NBA players themselves. And one thing that I like from Zach LaVine was this past Saturday in the game against the Memphis Grizzlies, right? The man had 24 points in the first half against Memphis. Now, to put some more context on this, the Memphis Grizzlies, their star players weren't playing, right? But for Zach LaVine to have the performance that he did against a less superior Memphis team with the players that they had on the floor, that's what you're supposed to do. Okay, that's what you're supposed to do against players like that. You're supposed to have a great performance in the first half to prove to people that you're still, one of the top players in the NBA. And with the Bulls and Zach LaVine, like I said, it's been kind of a shaky relationship between them, but it seems like things are starting to move in the right direction, and Zach LaVine is bought in now. And he ended up with 28 points in that game, and it was a great performance against the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, the team ended up losing that game. They had a 20-point lead around that area. They ultimately blew the game, but it's preseason, so I'm not really going to trip too much over it. And right now, the Bulls are 1-2, but last night against the Milwaukee Bucks, they played them pretty competitively. And I say that because the Bulls' top players, Kobe White, Zach LaVine, Ayo Dosunmu, I believe Vucevic didn't play last night. Those four players, Lonzo didn't play yet, but he is expected to play tomorrow night. Those guys didn't play last night in the game against the Milwaukee Bucks. So it was really the guys who are trying to, get some minutes once the regular season starts and guys vying for that final roster spot. They played, and they had a good showing against the Bucks. A Bucks team that had Damian Lillard playing, that had Giannis playing, and it had guys like Brook Lopez playing as well. So it was a good showing for the Bulls. Now, like I said, they ultimately lost the game, but for those young guys to play competitively against Giannis and those guys, I'm really excited about this team. I really am. And, even though I'm not expecting them to win a lot of games, this team still should be a pretty competitive and fun team. And the young guys, they've been really turning up. And let me show some love to those young guys. Matas Buzelis, right now he's averaging 10 points in the preseason. He shot 30% from the field, so not that great. Not that great right now. We're also shooting 25% from the three-point range. But, like I said, it's preseason, and obviously that was really one of the worries about him, his shooting. But I believe that once he, gets locked in, he'll be a much better shooter, and he'll be, a much more consistent shooter as well. And not only that, but he has been showing a lot of good effort in the preseason as well. He's averaging 4 rebounds. He also is averaging 2 assists right now. And he also had a nice block in that Memphis game. So right now he's been playing pretty well. And another guy that's been doing pretty well is Taylor Horton-Tucker. Now he's on a non-guaranteed contract, so he's trying to get that final roster spot. But right now, in 3 games, he's averaged 13 points while shooting 41% from the field, 31% from the three-point range, while also averaging 4 total rebounds and 2 assists. So Taylor Horton-Tucker, he's been playing pretty well throughout his whole NBA career. Now I'm just glad that he's getting the opportunity to play not only for his hometown of Chicago Bulls, but he's making an impact for the team in the preseason. And I'm really hoping that he's able to get that final roster spot. No disrespect to Batum, but Taylor Horton-Tucker has been showing down in the preseason, so I'll give him that. And the last person I want to give a shout out to is Julian Phillips. Now, he left yesterday's game against the Bucks with a rib injury, but I'm hoping that he will be okay. But in the preseason, in 3 games, he's averaged 13 points as well, shooting 54% from the field while also shooting 47% from the three-point range. And Julian Phillips, a lot of you guys probably don't know him, but he's a really athletic forward for the Chicago Bulls. And we drafted him in the 2nd round last year. And he's been, a pretty good – he's been showcasing his talents in the preseason so far. He's also averaging close to 5 rebounds per game. So pretty good stats for him right now in the preseason. And it's good to see that these young guys are really showing down the preseason. It really is, because that's what the Bulls are kind of banking on in the future. They're kind of banking on these guys to develop in the right way in the NBA and ultimately be able to be key pieces for the team in the future years to come. And one more person I want to give a quick shout out to is Josh Giddey. He had a little ankle injury going to this preseason, but he has been able to play all 3 preseason games, averaging 11 points so far, shooting 40% from the field, 36% from the three-point range. That's pretty good when you take into account that he hasn't been a good, consistent three-point shooter, but that's pretty good for him. He's also averaged close to 6 rebounds and also averaged 5 assists in these 3 games in the preseason. So, like I said, good showing from these young guys, and the last day to get your final roster together, it will be this Saturday, so it will be interesting to see who the Bulls decide to keep. But like I said, I'm really excited about this team. Like I said, maybe not be able to win a lot of not preseason games, but regular season games, like I said. But like I said, I'm really excited about this team, and I'm excited for the future to come. Now, there's still some questions around this team, but like I said, really excited and really looking forward to the season for the Chicago Bulls. They're doing better than the other team that I love to root for. But I'm not going to mention them again until Thursday. But appreciate you guys for tuning in and listening. And I know that for the NBA starts next week. It officially starts next week. And I know I've been going through the teams and giving my analysis on them. But what I'm going to do is this Thursday, I'm going to give a ranking of how I feel each conference will turn out. Thursday, I'll do the Eastern Conference, and then next Tuesday, I'll wrap it up with the Western Conference, and then make my predictions for the games next week. And real quick, that trade between the Grizzlies, but the Minnesota Timberwolves and the New York Knicks, I feel it's a pretty fair trade, because the Knicks get a reliable center in Karl Anthony Towns, while giving up Dante DiVincenzo, who, I ain't gonna lie, he has some beef with the New York Knicks now. He's got some beef with the New York Knicks. If you saw the clips of this past weekend, he had I think Dante DiVincenzo going to turn into Michael Jordan every time he plays against the New York Knicks because he took that trade personally. But the Minnesota Timberwolves, they got Dante DiVincenzo while also getting Julius Randle as well. So I like that pairing for the Minnesota Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards out there, a healthy Julius Randle, plus not Karl-Anthony Towns, but Rudy Gobert at the center spot. Then they still have Naz Reid, who can come off the bench and provide some quality minutes for them as well. So I feel it's a win-win between each team. It's just a matter of which team's going to be in a better position once the playoffs comes around. But like I said, that's my quick reaction to that trade. And like I said, I'm going to go through the division, well, not the divisions, but the conference for the NBA starting this Thursday and making my prediction for that. But like I said, appreciate you guys for tuning in and listening. And as always, KGF, keep God first. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Peace. I'm out.